That shows his fingers are right there over the trigger.
Correct.
Is that a correct?
I mean,
So-
yes, but
So it's possible any of the four to that trigger.
correct.
Again. So that occurred, and grabbed the gun like that. What happens next?
He's pulling at it, and I'm just yelling at him to stop, thinking that if I could just get away, it'll just be over, I guess,
Were you saying anything to him at this time?
to stop.
All right,
Were
everyone.
you saying it loudly?
Yeah, over and over again. Yeah, I was screaming it.
Okay, guys, I'm not gonna do an end credits or anything. I'm gonna send you guys straight over to Baker's. If you don't make it on the redirect, the link is pinned at the top of the chat. Go enjoy yourself, and I will see you all in the chat for a bit. Thanks, Jamie, for being on.
No
And I'll see you
problem.
guys.
Hi.
Thanks, Jamie, for being on.
No
And I'll see you
problem.
guys.
Hi.
Well, and then we just wait for everyone to drop in. I'll see if I almost can hit the right spot so we can go straight back into it. And we'll just wait to see if Jamie will come home to her real dad or her new dad is better. It was totally Inception. Well, thank you, Nathan C. Well, Flux, I'll start as soon as Jamie is home. I don't like it when she hangs out with strange men. But maybe she needs a little refractory period after being with Dave. But interesting that she took the stand. She kind of needed to because it's her word against all the witnesses. They don't really have any other evidence. I don't know because I slept for half an hour, so I didn't get lead into it. Hey, Jamie,
Hi.
was new dad good to you?
No, he was mean to me.
Oh, that.
We always have a good time.
Yeah. I had fun.
You really love this AI stuff. I love it too.
Yeah,
All these
but
gifts getting.
it's from a trip to the U.S. Was Dave coming over? No, I don't think so.
No, he said he was gonna say hi in the chat and then take off. So
Okay.
I think he did. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah,
But
the
like-
defense will do good because they talked this through with her. It's the prosecution that'll go ape on her.
Have you been watching?
I had half an hour nap, but I watched her on the stand. Yes. Tia, no ice cream. You know how you get if you get too much sugar. Well, she seems truthful. I will have to say that she seems a little guarded. I would be that in this situation, but yeah.
I mean, she's very believable for me right now. I mean, obviously, we'll see how Cross goes, but
Yeah.
it's making me understand the situation a lot better. And
Yeah, and been there, done that. She's doing okay. I find her believable, but still, if it's enough to swing the jury, I don't think so. She's been out on bond. Lolita smiles, believe her. Well, let's see how it goes. Are you ready, Jamie?
Yeah.
I think everyone has tickled in. And I'm just going to boost it.
that shows his fingers are right there over the trigger.
Correct.
Is that a correct?
I mean,
So-
yes,
So it's possible any of those 4 digits got into that trigger.
correct.
Okay. Thank you. So that occurred, and you grabbed the gun like that. What happens next?
He's pulling at it, and I'm just yelling at him to stop, thinking that if I could just get away, it'll just be over, I guess.
Were you saying anything to him at this time?
To stop.
Were you saying it loudly?
Yeah, over and over again. Yeah, I was screaming it.
Okay. And then what happened?
As he's turning it towards, like that way, I'm being pulled, and I can feel myself like pressing up against the car, like my face is up against the door. And as he's pulling it is when the gun went off.
Okay. And you saw the pictures that showed your hand kind of pulled back. Why would your hand or arm been pulled back like that?
After it went off, my entire body kind of fell backwards. Like I was almost like I was falling over, and I was trying to catch my balance. And my arm was turned so far in that once it went off and I was released, it just kind of sprung back.
What was going through your mind at that time?
A lot. I knew that I was still had to be on the phone with 911, and that I was just trying to get away from where I've been trying to get away from for the last however many minutes, and that I needed to communicate back to 911 what happened.
So you picked up the phone and
I turned and I picked up my phone that was on the ground, and I told her what happened.
okay. At any time, did you look around for a shell and pick up
No,
a shell?
no, I did not.
Were you concerned about a shell?
I was not at all.
And when you got on the phone with 911, you stated that he'd pulled the trigger.
Yes.
And what else did you state?
To her, I had told her that he had just pulled the trigger on my gun. And I remember kind of looking around, and I noticed behind me that there was someone who was standing behind me, and I asked them if they seen everything, if they would stay to, be a witness. And he was asking like if we were okay. He's like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And I told him, I said, I am, but no, he's not. And I asked the dispatch for an ambulance.
Okay. So your concern at that point was to try to get dispatch to send an ambulance out?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Did you look around to see if anyone was close?
I
or-
did.
And-
And that's when I noticed that there were actually, there were police that were, to me, felt so close that all of this could have just been avoided.
But you had no foresight or any kind of anticipation that it would conclude like this?
I had no idea.
And it appears that a lot of witnesses did come up to confront you or to say what they thought they'd saw.
Originally, everyone that was standing around, they weren't like saying anything direct. Everyone was asking each other what happened. Everyone was trying to figure out, like, well, where did this car come from, and how did this happen?
Did any of them or one particular stick out to you?
Only the one that was right next to me, because I was assuming that he saw the whole thing.
And did you know his name at that time?
I did not.
After seeing him get up and testify, do you know his name?
I do.
And what was his name?
Cameron
Cameron.
Williams.
Okay. And he did stay around?
He did. I don't know where he went exactly. he kind of started to walk around where everybody else was. And it was like I was still on the phone with 911 and I'm trying to explain to her what's going on. But at this point, I'm kind of in a bit of a daze. It was all over the place, honestly.
And what did you do with the gun?
I reholstered it. I took the holster off my hip and I put it back in the holster.
Okay, and did it stay in that condition till the police came?
It did. I remember looking up and seeing that there was a police officer who was coming up from where he would have been at like the interstate area. And as he was walking up, I was trying to get his attention because he was like walking towards all the bystanders.
Yeah.
Having no idea what was
the
going
guy, I think
on,
it was.
having no idea who was involved with what or where or how. And I was trying to get his attention so that he knew, here's the weapon so that he could have it.
All right, now you said that a lot of crowds were saying stuff, trying to confirm what had happened. Did you hear all that they were saying?
It was more a bunch of kind of questions. After the police officer had come up, one of the people that was standing there were basically, again, asking what had happened. And she asked me, she said, did you just shoot him? And I told her, I said, no. I said, he pulled me into the vehicle. He had a hold of me, but that I never had my finger on the trigger.
And why is that?
Well, that's for the jury to decide.
I mean, number one,
I think with the testimony we had so far, maybe the first witness were close enough in for parts of it. And then, of course, we have the video.
Mm.
But other than that, it's a bit sketchy.
training. And number two, I never had any intention on pulling the trigger.
And in fact, you never did pull that trigger, did you?
Correct.
Now, the officers, of course, came up, took your gun. And was there another officer that you encountered at that time?
I was standing on the sidewalk. I was just trying to stay out of the way.
Did you catch that, Jamie? Did she say why she pulled the gun? Was it because he had grabbed her shirt?
Yeah, she said they were fighting. He had a hold of her shirt and he had her arm, and he was saying, I got something for you, B. And she said in the midst of everything, like she didn't know if he was grabbing for something. And then he had a hold of her neck. And then when he hit the gas, she thought she was going to like be riding along with him as he's dragging her along in the car. And that's when she said, I pulled it thinking it would scare him to let me go. Like that's initially what she said. And then he grabbed it. And then that's what happened. So.
Yeah. Yeah, but the photo where the gun is in her hand is when she has it behind her after the shot. That's the clear shot. And then you have the one where I can't see if she's having it in her hand when her hand is in the window. But we saw parts of the video this morning.
And the original officer who I handed my gun to went into Mr. Herring's truck. Okay. And the other officer had come up, and everyone was kind of like, pointing towards me, basically. And he walked up to me and just told me that until they could figure out what was going on, that I would be detained.
So, as you said, kind of this fog's going on and you're in shock. Did you ever see that there was an opportunity to try to render assistance, or did that even cross your mind?
From the time that it happened to the time that the police officer got there, the initial response for me was I was away from this vehicle. And I wasn't trying to interject myself back into a situation that I had just got away from.
Yeah. And when the other officer detained you, did he put you somewhere?
He did, in the back of the police car.
And Your Honor, if I could have a moment, I'm gonna put a recording in there so that they can. I'm gonna take a recording or video of what occurred with you in the back seat. It may take me a second to use this technology. If you want to take a break or if they're ready to go.
Are you going to require any IT assistance?
I might, I've learned a lot on this machine that I might, I wouldn't want to.
So another break because they
That's-
haven't set it up
yes, I might.
beforehand.
Okay,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, I am going to give you a brief break. It's now 3:30. I just ask that you report back at 3:45.
3:45. Not too long.
Well, how do you feel, Jim? You watched all of it. I was halfway in and out of it, and I was watching the handball game. So she comes off as believable to me, a little coached. They have done this a few times, I think.
So far, believable to me. I mean, definitely waiting till cross to see. But when she describes the interaction, I mean, obviously, there's still things that I wouldn't do. I wouldn't have even tried to attempt to stop this guy. But now we're learning that she had her phone in her hand when she got out of the car, which could definitely be mistaken for a gun. I know, we had witnesses saying she came out with a gun in her hand. So, and she says she went up to him, to be a Karen and be like, I got the cops on the phone. We need to go back. And then a fight ensues.
Yeah, and I don't believe even people who believe her thinks it was a smart move just to get that out of the way, because there's a lot of people saying, well, she shouldn't have done it and stuff like that. I think most people could agree it was a stupid move.
But I am believing. So far I am believing the events of the fight. So, I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, and as John Gary says, I think she might have a shot with an impartial jury. Not sure she has one of those though. No. And the big problem in all of these cases are always one of the people on the scene isn't here anymore. And the one that's here is trying to blame the person who's not here. Most people would automatically side with the person not being here, unless there's clear-cut evidence, like videos showing weapons being drawn, skateboards being swung. And in this case, we have a video where we just see her do something near a window and pull a gun behind her. We have absolutely no concrete evidence of what happened. So now it's up to the believability. And she seems believable, but you have 5 eyewitnesses who says something different. Yeah, and there's clearly been a struggle. It's clearly been a struggle. No matter about it.
Well, Bobby, let's talk about it then. Because he says, I don't like the way we're talking about this. Like, it's a simple mistake. She created an entire scenario, and now this guy's unalived. Well, if you're believing her story, that it's believable, then she did approach somebody she shouldn't have approached, but she also now has the fact of he's grabbing her. She's now getting in fear of her life. I mean, both people have,
And again, it was not illegal to make a citizen's arrest, even with a gun. You have to remember that before Aubrey, what she did try to stop him, as far as I understand the rule, was legal, even with a pew-pew stick. Absolutely stupid to try and do it. I wouldn't even try to break up a fight in Denmark, because here, I don't know what you have in your pocket. they were fighting. I think the shirt proves that. But him leaving the scene, and well, he didn't have a right to grab her if she says, "I'm putting you under citizen's arrest."
Well, according to her, she walked up with her phone and was telling, and I mean, obviously other things were said, but she didn't have it out at the time. She's telling him she's on the phone with the police.
Yeah.
And that's when she claims he proceeded to grab her.
Yeah. Sean Bird, we have no guns in Denmark because they are illegal. So only people who break the law has the weapons. And mostly people who break the law are the ones you have to be afraid of. No, she was a witness to the hit and run, and then she tried to make a citizen's arrest. Is what they claimed. We haven't really heard anything about that. And as Tiania says, always walk out. You can stay and at a distance, see what happens, call the police, don't get involved.
There's a lot of things she kind of done differently. But
yeah,
don't we have to look at it like up, in that moment? In that moment, did she decide you're dead, MFer, or was she in fear of her life? I mean, that's kind of where it leads up to, right?
Well, we don't really know.
Well, I mean, according to her side of the things.
Yeah. Well, we heard the 911 call clearly today, and he said, get his number or get his tag. He doesn't say, go stop him. I think she got heated, wanted to play police.
Mm-hmm.
But again, as Flock says, if you have committed a crime and fleeing, a hit and run is a crime. You have the right to detain a person in a citizen's arrest.
And now we have heard that they were all thinking he was drunk.
Yeah.
So drunk person that just ran a red light and hit a car and then proceeded to get back in the car and drive off. That's where her mind frame was. And I mean, I would just call the police. I wouldn't have interfered at all. But,
Bobby Umbacher, as I talked about earlier today, please, everyone who disagrees, please say what you believe it is the thing we all should see in this. Because we can only learn by discussing the facts, and we can see a case right now. It's 110 people here. We can see it 110 different ways, and we do, because we notice different things. We have because to me as a Dane, there would never have been a gun because we are not allowed to carry them. That would be automatically jail time. No ifs, buts about it. But it's only 10 years if you unalive someone here, so that's the difference. But the more people try to talk to each other, maybe I can change, maybe you can change, maybe someone else can change. So better to voice your ideas. Oh, this is very loud already.
Okay, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to be a step ahead and the features.
Okay.
No. Yeah, like I said, I still don't think
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead.
I would have done anything she did.
No. Yeah, I heard you like those, and you cannot lie. Other brothers testify.
I love that Flux is just holding their own out there.
It was legal because we know that before Aubrey, it was legal to do this. This is. It's just funny that they haven't been able to argue that. So there must be a pre-trial motion.
Thank you.
If the law was black and white, we wouldn't have juries. No, and if juries knew the law, we would have way more cases being determined by facts over feelings. And
Yep.
but that's the beauty about the jury system. They can color the law, but sometimes they can also act. And again, I'm not talking about this case. We just watched a lot of cases where we can clearly see something else than the jury can.
The officer came up, Officer Richie took your weapon, correct?
Correct.
And then another officer came and got you,
Exactly.
taking you to the car.
Correct. I mean, there was a little bit of time that went in between that, but from him taking my weapon to me walking, trying to stay out of the way, and I just remembered kind of going back
There
and
has
forth
been a
with the
pre-trial
witnesses,
motion. No
talking
one has
about,
mentioned it.
again, them asking what happened. And I remember yelling for one of the officers to come up, and that we needed an ambulance. I was asking where the ambulance was.
Okay. And you do recall being placed in the back of a car similar to this, correct?
Sweet Tooth Fairy, I'm not a lawyer. I'm what's called a layman in Denmark. That's our jury system, where we sign up for 4 years at the time and do the exact same thing a jury does in the US. We listen to the evidence. We determine what's right, what's wrong. We have a different system. We have 2 jurors and 1 judge. Each of us has a vote. Each of us count the same. So the jurors can overrule the judge if we want to. We have a different system as well because I sit in on the judgment and the sentencing. I have to determine the sentencing as well after we do guilty, not guilty. So, and I've been doing that for 12 years. So no legal background, just a long time spent sitting in courtrooms in Denmark, listening to way too many criminals and innocent people who a lot of times trip themselves up. And then I got very interested in the American system because it's way different than ours. And that's what I bring to the table. I try to think as a jury or as a normal person, because as I often say, it's not about the law, it's about how the jury feels.
Yes.
And there was a video that you've seen prior to today that shows what happens in this video.
We don't
correct?
follow the
Correct.
British system.
And I will show you a small bit, and then I'll stop it so you can confirm that that is the video that you recall of the interview with you after being put in the vehicle. Okay?
No, but and this sounds rude to people who never watched trials before. Normal murder is between 8 and 12, so 10 years. Then you have the really bad ones, the choppy chop ones, or whatever you do to the body. That's 10 to 14. And then, of course, you can have a sentence where you are sent to a mental institute because you're too dangerous for society, and then you have to be reevaluated. We have had one life sentence not in my lifetime, but he was still in prison when I was younger because he pew-pewed 5. I believe he pew-pewed 5 police officers, but normally 8 to 10 for a normal unaliving.
Where's the ball?
You're welcome.
He's not allowed
Okay.
to do anything, but he did.
Is it on the computer? Oh, yes.
No, and that's kind of the problem. But that's probably why they haven't mentioned it, or they're not allowed to mention it.
Okay.
Well, it didn't sound like that's what she was going for.
No.
Be too loud.
Yeah, we call it
100.
buying. It's called, translated as custody. And you stay there until the psychologist tells you you're normal.
All right. Does that appear to be you in the back of the car? Do you recall an officer coming up? You may not have seen him as well, but do you recall being in the back and having an officer come up and
Yes.
speak to you? And does this appear to be a fair and accurate representation of what it was when they came and talked to you?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, I would like to tender defense exhibit number 39.
40. Yes.
No objection, Your Honor, as long as we have, that we only play the times that we previously discussed.
Correct.
Yes. You know that. And I'm not sure why the volume is not working. But of course, we need the volume.
Hold on. It's
Got it here. Where's that 100%? Podium.
Oh, Sweet Tooth Fairy is your cousin. Well, Tooth Fairy, then we can make a drink pies together. Jamie, behave yourself. We have new people here. Not everything is dirty.
I didn't say a word.
Yeah, and he just said he was ready. And the first day they had to cut early because they couldn't get the system to work. And then they came back the second day, and it took like 2 hours to get it working. It's a disgrace. Farrell has it correct.
Did it play while we were on break?
Oh, we never got that the volume.
Okay.
Video plays. But volume did not.
Just crave everyone's patience while we get IT who is here. Thank you.
I think it's because the law allows you to detain someone after witnessing them doing a crime. If you go into a bar fight and gets in a fight, even though it's what's the term? Both sides wants it, and you hit him wrong, and he goes down, breaks his neck. You don't get out of jail card on that one.
Nope.
I don't know what this technology is. I actually saw Mean Girls on one of my streaming services the other day. I wanted to see it because of you.
And after that, let you know what you think. I'm going to talk to her. Huh? Are they opening up that press again? Oh, yeah, you go get there and I ran up there. I ain't no fool. Yeah, appreciate it. All right. How you doing, man?
So you said you recall that situation happening. That's fair, accurate representation.
Of him walking up to the car.
And then from what's gonna occur here, I'd like you to listen, please, and
Not doing good. I'm Sergeant Mary, the Clayton County Police Department. All right. Can you just give me a full limit? Do you mind talking to me and telling me what happened? Okay. Take your time. You was turning left on Fort Parkway. Okay. Okay.
I pulled off the road, I called.
He ran to the semi? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Almost 20 minutes later, I called the police back and I was drunk and he got out of the car.
Okay.
There was a police officer, I don't know from where, to show me the badge, he was what I think down there as well. So he kept like, I don't know what kind of the car, so he started to try to. So I jumped to my vehicle while I was on the state badge, and I followed him to the taxi. He was all over the road.
Okay.
And while I was following him, I was really listening to everything. Because I think it was kind of talking about all of them. Probably in my head, nobody was
Okay.
so I followed him down here, I got up and I was able to cut something when I told him to get out of the car. We need to stop the car.
Okay.
And I stared right up through the field on my right hand side. I told him I should stop. Never once did I destroy it, never once did I do it.
Okay.
When I got up to the car, I was almost dispatched, so I got up to the EPC that I was going with her, and smacked my phone out of my hand. Took a word and said, "Don't want that," but I don't remember. Smacked my phone out of my hand, and I told him to get out of the car. He grabbed my shirt and he pulled on my shirt, and he under my sister. While he was grabbing me, he got me after I took my phone out, that's all I said. He pulled his phone in his back, and so he had to inside his car. And he started preaching, but he was looking at me, which is when I had, when I pulled up in and I told him, I said, I said, I thought I said, I have not had this. And he kept preaching, and he's like, do it then, do it then. And I said, I could go put it back, as I was trying to yell at him, so he's trying to come up here, and he's reaching out. We're still going back and forth, and he still has a hold of me. And that's
What did he
it.
have a hold of you with? Okay. Your hand?
My
Okay. How did you grab your wrist? Did you reach inside the vehicle or what?
I was going, like telling him, I was.
Like pointing?
No, I told him to go over. And I was up at the window, and when he was grabbing the hold of me, grabbing the hold of my shirt, is when I got closer to the window, and I was talking to him, and that's when I saw his hand, he was reaching, and maybe I'm a student, so my girl was reaching, I don't know, but that's where I wanted it.
Okay.
But I mean, then he,
All I need is to push it out. You don't gotta go that, they're gonna talk to you, but yeah, I just need to know what came up when the weapon was fired.
I told that, and I told him that I would shoot him, and then he told me to do it. He grabbed me, my hand, where I had my gun, where I was holding my gun with that hand. He pulled me to him, and I'm pulling away, I didn't want to pull the trigger. He didn't have anything in his hand now. I can clearly see this and every gun wouldn't have anything on it. But he grabbed my hand, and we're going back and forth in the car. He's pulling it, he's turning it toward me, and he grabs it, and then next thing I knew, it went off.
Okay. Okay. This is still last 2 weeks. Okay. All right.
I stood back. I told he was moving around. I was telling him to sit still. That's when I was yelling at the dispatcher.
Because it's a body cam and
and
He's
I put it back up.
3 feet away from
I
her.
was just standing there waiting,
Were you on the phone with dispatch at that time, or the whole time? Okay, all right.
and I was on, when he came around the corner, is when I told him that this is my gun, what was shot, and my feet is.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I feel it adds up.
Your opportunity to call him. Just give him a minute.
Can't even hear it, to be honest with you.
Now,
I would say the parts that I heard were consistent with her statement today. They probably watched this video a few times. I'm not saying
I was gonna say,
anything, but they might have seen it a few times before she testified today, just to make sure she remembered everything, just like the witness the state took out back.
did it go with her statements on the stand so far? Because I couldn't really hear it at all, to be honest with you.
What I could hear, yeah, the fight, she didn't want to do it, and it went off. So that's kind of consistent with what she's been saying.
Mhm.
Yeah, they have watched this video 1,000 times because her testimony needs to line up exactly with this video. Yeah, I would say roughly 50% as well, and it seemed consistent. Swanee River, first time I've seen that name, and as I always say, the best self-defense is running away. Yeah, she said he grabbed her, and that's and she didn't want to do it. But still, I think the biggest problem is the other party isn't in the courtroom, and that's why she will end up doing time.
well,
You need some assistance?
yeah, if you want to stop.
You want to take it out?
Yes, ma'am. Now, having heard that, is that what your recollection of the count, how it happened?
Minus details,
Okay.
generally.
Well, how were you feeling at that time?
I was overwhelmed. I mean, I didn't know what was really going on.
Is that why
I
you
was
wanted?
scared.
Is that why you wanted to call your parents? Okay. And they had some pictures earlier that were presented. If I may approach, Your Honor.
You may. Did you show?
Yes, I did. I showed some.
Okay.
What I have here is defense exhibit number 27, 28, 29, all the way through. Here's the 30.
She needed to take the stand.
Recall
I
seeing
think
those
that was
when
the
I
problem in
entered.
the DD case.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%, Your Honor.
You may.
We're just going chronological order.
If the white lady does the cross, it will end in a Karen on Karen crime.
Okay. Does this look like a fair and accurate representation of where it appears you were scratched?
Yes.
Okay, is that where when you said he was reaching for your head or trying to pull you in, that's where the marks came from?
Yes.
They didn't come from putting a sweatshirt on, did it?
No, it's not.
Okay. And this is defense exhibit number 28. Do you recall this?
Yes.
Okay, and this area here, is that, what is that?
It's my wrist.
Is that where the swelling or what?
Yes.
Is that your right hand?
I believe so. Yes.
Okay. And that would be swollen for what? What reason?
Well, there was swelling on both, but on this side it was from where I was grabbed, but then my right wrist is where it
And left.
was being like twisted and pulled
Okay.
and grabbed.
Is this another? Another photograph of how your shirt ended up
Yes,
that day?
yes.
Okay. And when they were taking pictures, they took a picture of here. What was going on there?
You can't really tell in this picture, but it was starting. It was hurting, like it was starting to swell, and there's irritation around it. I guess you could call it.
Okay. And do you recall them pulling out a ruler to measure the marks on the back of your neck?
Yes.
Okay. And
Well, Kim, this has been a very interesting day, but only 2 witnesses. We had a witness this morning. I felt like she had heard more than she had seen. By that I mean she had heard after the fact. It seemed like she told the story. And now we have then the state rested, and now we have the defendant on the stand. She's been pretty consistent with her statements, but I still believe that she will end up doing time for this because one party is here and the other party isn't here, even if it's the law or not the law. So, yeah.
do you recall them taking pictures of your hand there?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And describe what was going on there.
There were like scratches and marks all along my hands and on my fingernails. There were a couple of them, and to try to remember now, I don't remember which ones, but there were a couple of them that were broken off when all of this was happening.
And there's some marks over here. Do you recall what those marks were?
The one right on the top was where Detective Moore basically was asking me if I was showing her where it was hurting, and in that area, she wanted him to document that it looked like a busted blood vessel.
Okay. And do you recall seeing this being presented into evidence?
I do.
Did you ever see that in the vehicle?
Not at the time, no.
No,
Was
because,
that the biggest nightmare you had if that was
they
in
would
the
have it
vehicle?
on them.
Yes.
There's no discussion about. She would have had gunpowder residue all over her because a gun was fired. No question about that, and it was in a close environment. It'll be all over the car, so that doesn't prove who pulled the trigger. And it's not really that's the big issue in this. This is it legal to do what she did? It's not that a trigger was pulled. It was the outcome of that trigger, and if the lead in to that was legal.
Is there anything else? Is there anything else you can remember about that incident that you might have missed from seeing the back of the truck or back of the police car and speak with them in those pictures?
Small details don't really resonate very well. I mean, it's been the only thing that I've thought about for the last 4.5 years, but it's not details. No, nothing that I can think of.
Now, did you get an opportunity to speak to other officers?
Yes, I did.
All right. And Who is that?
After I was taken to the police station, they put me in a interview room, and eventually a Detective Hayward came in and introduced himself and said that he was waiting on his partner.
Do you recall who his partner was?
I was Detective Moore.
Okay. And do you recall how that interview went?
I remember feeling like I was waiting for hours. I didn't know what was going on. I hadn't talked to anybody since it happened other than the police officers. And I just remember like feeling like I was waiting for forever, and I had no sense of time or what was going on.
All right. While you were waiting, did you do anything while you were waiting and sitting there alone?
I remember pacing, and that's when I noticed that my nails were broken. So I started messing with my fingernails. I started like taking them off. One of them I remember was hurting, which is what made me realize it was broken.
Okay. And do you recall any of the conversation between Detective Haywood and Moore in that interview?
Not really. I remember that to me it seemed like they would kind of go back and forth between one being more interested than the other. And they kept asking me the same things over and over again. But every time they would ask me, they would kind of insinuate like a different narrative, which to me, I'm thinking that there's an obvious explanation that everybody that was sitting around would have been able to see what I said happened. So to me, I didn't feel like it was, I guess, logical. So I was just confused.
Okay. And you said they were insinuating that there was a different answer or a different, can you give an example of that?
I mean, if just trying to change like my wording,
Well, Flux and Bobby,
trying to,
I know that even if you have a slight disagreement, you will kiss and make up.
Yeah.
Remember, Bobby, when you play on Flux's team, you can only call a kisser.
instead of when I explained to them that I was at the side of his
The law, I
vehicle,
didn't make the law.
when they went back to repeat what I had said, they said, so you reached in his vehicle to show him your phone or something like that. And I just remembered, no, that's not what I said. I was
What do you
trying to
mean
tell
by
them
repeat?
exactly what happened. They kept stopping me, and then they would try and turn what I was saying, and then they'd pass it back to the other person.
At any time during this interview, did they tell you what was going on with Mr. Herring?
No, they
They
did
never
not.
once said his status or?
Never. No. And I remember asking Detective Hayward in the beginning, kind of, is what's going on? Have you talked to anybody else? Like insinuating, can you tell me anything? And he just said, I felt like he kind of brushed it off and just said that he would have to see. And that's when I asked about calling, like my family.
So to your knowledge, through this whole interview, you didn't know the status?
I never
Mr.
knew.
Herring?
No.
And you were getting questions, as you said, from both sides?
Correct.
How did that make you feel?
In the beginning, when I was telling them what happened, I thought it was more of a kind of like a witness account, like here's what happened. As it got further into it, I could tell to me, it kind of started feeling like interrogation. But originally I wasn't thinking that it could have been an interrogation, because I'm just thinking that it was an incident that had a clear explanation as to what happened.
Have you ever been in a situation like that before?
Never.
And having gone through that situation and you are in court, is there anything you
Always
learned
call your lawyer first.
from this
You
situation
can call your family.
that sticks in your mind from all this 4 years later, 4.5 years later?
That not everybody is going to have a reaction that you think they're going to have. And that clearly trying to do the right thing is not the right answer.
Think you're ever going to
That didn't
help
come off
anybody
right.
else, try to help anybody ever again?
No.
Does the state have cross-examination? Okay. Take a minute.
I didn't like that. Clearly do the right thing. I didn't like that. It came off a little too hallmark.
And yeah, I mean, I like her
We can
chance.
always pick and choose, but I just feel if I was the jury, it would come off a little too like a hallmark card. And as I always say, the first note and the last note in the music piece must be perfect. She
Mhm.
started out great. The middle part was good, but then in my ears, she hit a wrong note. So I don't. And Brad agrees with me, and Brad is the smartest man in chat. So I'm right.
I think her taking the stand was, I mean, she had nothing to lose in this situation.
She must take the stand. We complained that Didi didn't do it. You need to do it in a self-defense case.
Yeah, well, I think she needed to take the stand just because we were not getting a lot of the stuff that she pointed out. They haven't brought up in the case. So now it's like, oh, okay, that clarifies that a little bit more. I mean, I like her chances, like John said earlier, I like her chances better as her testifying than not testifying, but
Yeah, 100%.
we'll see once Cross is done how we feel.
Yeah, and get ready because if you want renewable energy, I bet there will be Karen energy enough for the rest of the Earth's existence after these two ladies go at it. I'll be right back, Jamie.
Okay.
Are we still going to need IT right now? Do you plan
I see
to
problem.
play anything else, Attorney Tucker?
I think back to the point, I think I know what we're doing up there. I'm not trying to say I'm an IT specialist, but I think we can handle it, and I don't anticipate.
If we need to, we'll call. Thank you so much.
All right, as you just discussed, you remember having an interview on May 7, 2019 with Detective Moore and Detective Hayward.
Correct.
And you recall during that interview when you were discussing the original incident that occurred on Clark Howell, that your vehicle was almost struck by Mr. Herring, correct?
Correct.
It was not struck.
No, it was not.
And that you were able to stop your vehicle before he came through the intersection.
Correct.
And at that time, you were able to go around and you pulled up on the sidewalk and waited to call the police.
Correct.
And while you were on scene at Clark Howell, you had no issues with Mr. Herring, correct?
No, none.
You never spoke to him directly?
No.
You didn't see any weapons on him?
No.
You never got close to him to smell any odor of alcohol on him?
No, I did not.
And he didn't threaten you in any way?
No, I did not.
And you never told the detectives or the police that Terry Robinson told you he was drunk?
I did, yes.
You told the police?
I told 911 dispatch.
All right, let's talk about 911 dispatch. Now, you also stated that when Mr. Herring took off from the incident location, you were already at your vehicle.
Correct.
And you had gotten into your vehicle, correct?
I was sitting in my vehicle on the phone. Correct.
And Terry Robinson and Mr. Kimball were still in the street.
Correct.
And you stated that he waved you over.
Yes.
And the only thing you heard Terry Robinson say was, go, go, go.
Correct.
That's your testimony today.
Correct.
So he never told you to take a picture of the tag?
Not that I remember, no.
And you also testified today that you never heard the 911 dispatch give you a warning not to chase?
No, I never said that.
I have a lot
I said
of
that
anonymity.
she told me that she wanted me to be safe. And I said that from what I took it as was that she didn't want me to chase. And when I explained to her I wasn't chasing, I was just simply staying with him until a police officer could get to us.
So there's a Mr. Bobby.
And the 911 dispatch indicated to you approximately 4 times to either not chase Mr. Herring and go back to the scene, correct?
Incorrect. I only heard it one time, and she told me not to chase, to be safe. She never told me to go back to the scene until after I had told her that I was behind him and that she wanted me to be
Sherry.
safe. And in doing so, she said that she wanted both of us to go back.
Yeah.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor? Excuse me. I'm handing you what has been previously marked as Exhibit 40, which is a copy of the 911 transcript. If you can review that.
It's in its entirety or just what you're
You
referencing?
can review the entire transcript. You ready?
Yes.
All right, you see on page 1, female caller. Dispatcher tells you, okay, can you get his tag number? Your response, hold on, he's driving away. It's a red Dodge Dakota. Give me 1 second, hold on. Okay, so he is going west down Clark Howell. No, I'm sorry, down Forest Parkway. Dispatcher, okay, so you couldn't get a tag number? Your response, no, but I'm catching up to him right now. And the dispatcher tells you, okay, ma'am, we actually do not want you to chase him. We just want you to be safe. The first time they tell you not to chase him, correct?
She didn't tell me not to. She just said that they didn't want me to because of my safety. at least is the way that I interpreted
Okay,
it.
I'll give you that. So they told you that they do not want you to chase him, correct?
Correct.
And what did you say
Please
next?
don't text
You
them.
can read it.
I understand.
Okay. And the dispatcher tells you after that, it's not safe to chase him. Second time, correct?
That's what the transcripts guys said. When we're listening to it, I don't remember hearing that, but
And can you read what your response was?
I understand 100%. I'm just going to get the tag number, if nothing else. But I am going west down Forest Parkway, and I'm almost up to him.
So you told the dispatcher that you understood 100%, correct?
That I needed to be safe. Correct.
And the dispatcher states after that, okay, after you provide the tag number, which you provide the tag number before you make contact with Mr. Herring, correct?
Correct.
And once she gets the tag number from you, she tells you, okay, so if you could go back to that location where the incident happened because someone is actually on the way to you guys now. Is that correct?
Correct.
So there should be no confusion that she told both of you to go back to that location.
Well, if you keep, it's not confusion. It's just more to the conversation.
But you said your interpretation was that you thought that she was advising you and Mr. Herring to return to the incident location, correct?
Because that's what she says in the next line.
Okay, I'll let you read it. Read the entire response from dispatch.
From what the transcript reads is,
From the beginning, okay.
female caller or dispatcher?
Dispatcher.
Okay, so if you could go back to that location where the incident happened because someone is actually on the way to you guys now.
And Terry Robinson and Mr. Kimball were still at that location, correct?
That was 2 out of the 4 people.
Terry
that were
Robinson
involved.
and Mr. Kimball were still at that
Correct.
location, correct? And that's the third time she's telling you to not continue to follow Mr. Herring and go back to the location.
No, that's when she told me to go back to the location, the first time. She didn't say anything about not following.
All right. And so what is your response to the dispatch at that time? You can read the next paragraph.
That there's a police officer. Okay, well, there is a police officer there, but he is drunk. I'm sorry, but I'm here to tell you, I'm not going to follow him because he's going to cause another accident. So I will stay behind him until an officer can get to us. But until then, I'm not moving.
Right. So you were aware that dispatcher did not want you to continue to follow Mr. Herring, correct?
Sure.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
If you don't say something,
All right. And
okay.
the dispatcher tells you after that,
Dispatcher is not.
you know that's what I want.
I can't hear you when you talk. When
Oh,
this thing's
sorry. No, it was an outburst. It wasn't anything. I just said they don't have the authority.
I want you guys to go back to the location where it happened and an officer will be out there momentarily. So that's a 4th time she's telling you again, don't follow and head back to the incident location, correct?
Incorrect.
Okay, so what am I missing?
She said, which in the transcript, it reads differently than what you can hear on the call.
I'm talking about the transcript that's before you, Ms. Payne.
I'm just speaking from facts of what I've known.
I'm asking you to,
If she could allow the witness to finish answering the question instead of interrupting her.
the defendant
Maybe
is,
she could get her question answered if she allowed her to finish hers.
Your response, Lady
the
Hunter?
defendant is not responsive to the question. I'm only asking.
How many times did the state argue exactly the same thing, and now she's going to overrule it?
Exactly. It's
beg you.
asked and answer. They don't need to keep going over this over and over this.
Yeah, and again, she's reading what the dispatcher said to her. That's the
Yeah, but-
dispatcher's statements.
In
Play the
regard-
tape. Don't make her read it. It's not her testimony.
And you have to realize she is interpreting it like she's just trying to give you clarification on how she took that to what that meant to her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. And but still, she shouldn't be explaining what the dispatcher meant. She should only be explaining what she did and why she did it, because that's her testimony. We have the dispatcher's instructor telling us how we normally do stuff, and then we have the tape. And I don't think the tape sounded good when she said, "I'm not gonna do that."
Her about the transcript that's in front of her.
So I'm going to overrule the objection, and Ms. Payne will answer the question that's been posed.
If you want the lottery
Okay,
numbers,
you can
I can give them to
explain
you
that
too,
to you.
because I'm a
Indicated whether she's correct or
magic
not.
baker this week.
So can you repeat your question?
The dispatcher for a fourth time indicated to you that she wanted you to return to the incident location, correct?
Correct. And not for a fourth time, that she wanted me to not follow.
Let's go. They even were allowed to play it for a second time today because the audio was bad on the first time. So this judge allows everything in. Yeah. They are asking what the dispatcher meant when she said it to her, Bobby. They can't do that. They can only ask her what she interpreted what the dispatcher said to her. And when she said, "That's not what I believe she meant," she yells at her and said, "Read it again." And that doesn't matter, because what matters is what is her belief at the time when the dispatcher say this and for the fourth time. It doesn't matter what's in the transcript. It's how did I conceive the message from the dispatcher. And again, a dispatcher has just as much authority as the jail warden who said, "Get the tax." This young lady should
Okay.
have listened.
You testified that you didn't cut Mr. Herring off on Riverdale Road. You saw him stopped in the turning lane. Is that correct? Is that your testimony?
I said I saw him stopped in the turning lane. And I never used the terminology cut him off. Because in my eyes, I was still in my lane of travel.
Her get you flustered. Wow.
And do you remember telling the detectives on May 7th, 2019, that you got in your Jeep, you followed Mr. Herring, you told the dispatch that you were following him, and she told you that she didn't advise it. She told you to get his tag number. You got the tag number by the time you got to the end, right when I got to Riverdale Road, correct?
Your Honor, objection. This is a very long question. She can break it up, maybe the witness could understand it and answer a little bit clearer.
Your response, Eddie.
And I'm asking her if that's what she said. That's a statement that she would have made to the detectives. I'm asking her, was that a statement that she made to detectives?
Okay, so I'll overrule the objection. It's not a compound question. She's just asking if that's actually what she said. So I'll allow.
We'll be playing the lottery this weekend.
So if you're asking me if I remember word for word what I said 4.5 years ago, I can not say that I do remember exactly what I said.
And do you recall that you told them that you came around that curve and you had an opportunity to get in front of him?
If that's what I said, then I don't remember. Like I said, exactly. It was 4.5 years ago. There was hours worth of interview. So.
And do you recall telling the detectives that you got in front of him and I stopped in front of him and I got out?
Okay.
You recall that?
Again, I don't remember word for word what I said. I would have assumed that I would have explained what happened, which you were able to see in the pictures.
So it's your testimony today that you did not cause him to stop his vehicle?
Correct.
You're pulling up a picture?
I'm showing you what has been admitted as defendant exhibit 5.
Yeah, that's why you
Is that your Jeep?
It was.
I want to talk to my lawyer.
And do you see how your vehicle is angled toward the red Dodge Dakota?
No, I see his vehicle's angled towards mine.
Okay, I can give you a better view.
Folks,
I actually believe that was what Payne said.
yeah, that she angled, and you can clearly see her wheels turned to cut him off.
Yeah, but I mean, no, on the defense side, no one ever said that, I don't believe.
Showing you what has been previously admitted as states exhibit 8. Now, is your vehicle
Well, she's been pretty
slightly
good
ahead
so
of
far
Mr.
with
Harris's
me.
vehicle?
Slightly ahead, yes.
And is your right passenger tire turned towards the right toward his vehicle?
The tire's turned, but the vehicle is not.
And so in order for you to get in that position, you had to turn your steering wheel to the right towards Mr. Herring's vehicle, correct?
Towards the lane.
And his vehicle is in that lane, correct?
At the time, it was further back, so no.
So if it was further back, you had to turn your vehicle in front of his vehicle, correct?
Okay.
No.
So how did you end up in that position?
In this meaning, like with the cars connected or with me,
With you partially in his lane.
with my front tire partially in his lane, my wheel was turned.
Now, you testified that you walked up to him. And you were, does it sound like you described it, calmly telling him that the 911 dispatch
Yeah,
wanted
the
him to go
pink
back to
grill
the scene?
should get
Correct.
her at least a year.
Hey,
And telling him calmly that you were on the phone with 911?
I mean, when you say calmly, do you mean like was I irate or was I louder?
That is your testimony today that you did not get out of your vehicle and run up to Mr. Herring's vehicle telling him to get out of the car.
Correct.
And you never once got out of your vehicle and go up to him and tell him to get out of the fucking car.
Well, everyone heard I did.
And so at no point on that 911 tape did you ever tell him to stop,
I
go
did.
back to the scene.
I did.
And did you hear that on the 911?
Conveniently, no.
That's stupid. Don't do that. Conveniently, no.
yeah, don't add that in there.
That's stupid.
There's no reason for it.
Okay.
I find that very, very stupid. Trying to imply that they tampered with the evidence. If you can't prove it, don't do it.
I just love pink, guys. So when I saw it the first time, I was like, that is cool. I like that. Anyways, I've never seen the pink grill. I wish I could just deck my truck out with a pink grill now. Oh, that would be so amazing.
Well, we're going to do a pink grill griff stream for Jamie.
Well, because I have a black truck and I have the midnight edition, so it's all black, tinted black and everything. Now I want to put a pop of pink in there.
Well, we just know that there's audio missing, but don't imply that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon, did you watch ahead?
Yeah. Are you,
Right. Now start yelling at Bobby again.
why? Oh,
Flux is home,
God.
so she's not texting in her car.
Yeah. Give Bobby the business.
I just don't like the tone when she said, "Well, conveniently not." I'll go to Lawn and Crim because they're never wrong. Yeah, I think she's doing good, but she has those little slip-ups.
Yeah, where she kind of gets a little.
She gets a little Karen-y.
Yeah. Is that we're gonna use that as like the term
That's
now?
gonna be my thing, Karen-y. Jamie, pink headlight lashes.
I don't know. I've never seen it. I wonder what it'll look like.
Yeah, don't get sassy, girl.
Yeah, just keep it cool. Speak your truth just like everybody else did.
No, sir, no.
If that her dad and that guy, they need to go to Sally's and get some purple shampoo. Get some of that yellow out.
Can we do a who wore it best on those two ladies in the white vests? Did I miss someone?
I don't know. I love when he just comes up with stuff on the fly. Sometimes he kills me.
Brandon, and I asked you over at Dave's chat, did your wife's case get picked up? Or did she get the jury duty?
And why is he staring into the camera like that? Stop it.
No, I think it's their family, Dave. I don't think it's cons waiting for their turn.
It's the mom and dad for sure.
Yeah, that's probably the brother.
Yeah, I don't know who the other guy is.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
Where's these white vests? That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Which white vests?
I haven't seen a white vest.
Yeah, we'll play a game, see who's next under the arrow. Press X to doubt. I haven't seen that pea yellow hair combined with the black sides. Oh, sorry. Well, let me know if it's on some local channels so I can follow it. It'd be fun. Remember not to talk to your wife about the case.
And so I believe you testified that as you were at Mr. Herring's window, his vehicle moved forward towards your Jeep, correct?
I was in the vehicle, but yes, correct.
While that vehicle was moving forward?
Correct.
So do you remember speaking with the detectives? Okay.
Back in the early 90s, it was a hairstyle to have a bowl cut and then an undercut that was darker and then a bleached what do you call it? Yeah, you know, the long hair for guys. And my friend turned it around, so he bleached the underside and made this dark. It looked like he had a baiting cap on the whole time. He was so
Oh God.
idiot. Hollymore, just relax, listen to what's said, and don't fall for all the little tricks. And when you come into the room and people are saying, well, she done clearly did it, or he done clearly did it, just say, what evidence are you basing that on? Oh. Oh. I'm interested.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, you may. I'm handing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 41, which is a copy of the transcript of your interview with Detective Moore and Detective Hayward.
I don't know what happened.
Can you turn to page 11?
Doing the sidebar.
The page number will be at the top of the
It
page.
feels different. I tapped with fingers.
Okay.
And down at the bottom of the page, where it says your name, and it starts with and.
Yes.
And if
And can you read that
TV
paragraph?
station, is live showing it, please let me know. It could be
And he's just like, who are you? Who are you? I said, I'm no one, but I'm on the phone with dispatch. I'm on the phone with the police. You need to stop. You just caused that accident. And he's like, yeah, okay, I got something for you. And that's when he pulled forward.
And Detective Moore asked you, so at this time, it was just words being exchanged. There was no, he stopped, and then what did you respond?
She stopped, and I responded saying, no contact.
And she responded, no contact at all yet. And what was your response?
Right.
So at the time his car pulled forward, there was no contact between you and Mr. Herring, correct?
This is between the vehicles.
So when Detective Moore said there were just words being exchanged, there was no contact. Is
That's
your
what she
position
said.
that she was just talking about the vehicles?
That's what I would assume, yes.
So words and vehicle?
Yes.
Where's the question at, Your Honor?
Here is your response. If you can.
I'll move on, Your Honor.
Okay, I will sustain the objection. We can move on with your next question.
Now, is your testimony today that you've never had your finger on the trigger?
It is.
If it's a multiple on a lighting, that as long as it doesn't go on for months, because I have to go to the US.
Can you turn to page 49?
Well, she she did pretty good doing the direct. I didn't like her closing. She came off a little Karen-y, and we were believing that the cross would be filled with Karen energy, but it really hasn't. They have been stabbing each other a bit, but not that much. But she has a tendency to say stuff that seems a little stupid. That's just my opinion, but it just comes off a little bit.
But her story was believable.
Yeah, her story is totally believable, consistent with the statements at the scene. Nothing about that. But she just has a slight inclination to say something where I think, that's stupid. Yeah, I'll be doing Dolly Wood and Jamie Wood.
Okay.
All right. Down at the bottom of the page where you see your name and it starts off, I mean. Can you read that paragraph?
Yeah, that's why I think you should stay away from those little snarky comments.
I mean, he's almost fully turned by pulling, and I think that was more so just a matter of us kind of going back and forth with him like this. Hannah is showing the position he is in. And he's pulling, and after he tried to pull the trigger, when he came back around is when I had my hand on the trigger, and he still was squeezing, reaching, pulling, turning. But I'm pretty sure that in prior testimony,
can
we were
you
speaking of the trigger guard.
And can you turn to page 41?
Okay.
Well, just remember to keep your head cool and don't. You'll probably see stuff that's not that nice, but you're prepared for most of it. Just don't let other people's emotion get you to do something or vote something you don't feel.
Can you
like.
start down where it says your
That's-
name?
Really.
I pulled it out.
I pulled it out and I had it up here.
And Detective Hayward asked you where the muzzle was pointed. What was your response?
It's more so pointing sideways.
And he also asked you that he stated so it was not pointed at Mr. Herring, just raised.
Correct.
And he stated ready if you had to pull it.
That's what he states, yes.
And on page 42,
I really don't like that.
and Detective Hayward states,
Just
and he
like,
reaches out
the
with his
books.
right hand, so you know
No.
there's nothing, no weapon or nothing in his right hand, correct? And what is your response?
We had a breakdown that
Correct.
two white
Well, yes.
people and
And Detective Hayward asked you because you didn't see no weapons or nothing in his right. And what is your response?
I didn't see anything in his, but he didn't have anything in his hands.
What?
And on page 40, turn to page 40. And at the top, I believe that's you respond, and I had my gun in my hand. And Detective Hayward asked you, are you pointing it at him at this time? What was your response?
No, I am not pointing it at him, but I'm pointing it away.
No, reread that. I don't believe that's what that says.
I'm not pointing it at him, but I'm not pointing it away. Where it goes on to show that I was resting it on the window of the car. As I explained, I was pushing away.
And so your testimony today was all of this could have been avoided, correct?
Correct.
And you also stated that you had no intention or you wasn't trying to interject yourself in a situation that you just got away from, correct?
Correct.
But that's in fact what happened on May 7, 2019.
Interjecting myself twice or initially?
So in the initial incident, your vehicle was not struck, correct?
Correct.
And so there was no reason for you
very
to
legal.
interject yourself in the final conclusion of what happened with Mr. Herring as far as that incident was concerned.
Well, there's a lot that led up to that. So for me to have interjected myself to begin with
That should be
was
after the
me
viewing.
doing something that I would have wanted someone else to do for me, which was to be a witness for what I thought was an accident.
And you're not post-certified.
No, I'm not.
You're not a police officer.
I'm not.
Nobody deputized you on that day to apprehend anyone.
No, they did not.
And you also stated that you never had any intention of pulling the trigger.
Correct.
So when you told Mr. Herring that you would shoot him, you were just bluffing?
Oh, it's not I wasn't bluffing. I was, as I explained, thinking it was a deterrent, like I would be able to get away.
And you said you had training with this firearm?
Yes.
And in that training, you didn't learn that you don't pull a gun unless you're going to use it?
I learned that you don't put your finger on the trigger unless you're going to use it.
And it was your testimony today in that interview that your finger was on the trigger, correct?
My finger was in the trigger, on the trigger guard, not in the trigger.
Nothing further.
Thank you, ABA. Attorney, any redirect?
Yes, ma'am.
Attorney.
I don't feel that was a great cross.
I mean, did anybody? Because I mean, it didn't really do much for me either. It didn't really. They didn't really pull out any, like moments where I'm like, oh well, you didn't say that. Well, that what? You know what I mean? Like nothing happened. It was just.
She should have been beating the horse with a dead stick till the jury was believing that she only did it because she wanted to do it, and she had just been itching to get out there and do it that day.
Well, yeah, like really hammer on the like her playing cop or whatever, you know, when she really wanted to go there and take care of this guy. You know what I mean? Like I would go more in that route, not just have her read transcripts that really didn't say anything too damning.
No, and she was better at defending her prior statement than the first witness we saw today.
Yeah.
If the jury wants to see her as a liar, they already do. It has absolutely nothing to do with this cross because that was weird.
True. If they already feel a certain way about her, they feel a certain way about her.
Yeah. Hey Tia, it didn't change anything, and
but for me, it clarified a lot more, and I don't know, it kind of flipped me more the other way.
I'm dumbfounded. But let's see if he comes back and salvages. if
Yeah,
he needs
we'll
to.
We'll see.
Okay, now they talked about this 911 tape with you. During this 911 tape, as you heard it while you were sitting at the table, did it appear sometimes you were talking over the 911 operator and they were talking over you?
It appeared that way, yes.
Okay. Did it appear that when they were saying one time, we don't want you to chase, we want you to be safe, that you were giving directions at that time?
Correct.
Could that be the reason you did not hear the first or the second time?
Correct.
Now, the state kept saying that they said, don't chase, don't chase. But you recall them saying, be safe and come back to a location, correct?
From my recollection, I remember them telling me not to chase. I told them I wasn't chasing. I was just following behind. She wanted me to be safe, and I told her that I understood that. I had no reason to think that I wouldn't be safe.
Okay. And the last time from you saying, I'm just trying to get his tag, how many seconds went by before 911 came even back on the line to talk to you?
There was a large gap between both times of her originally asking me, can I get the tag? And I said, no, hold on. There was a large gap. And then she asked me again if I was able to get the tag. And there was another large gap.
Right. And I recall hearing you walking at a fast pace to your car, to your Jeep, while they were asking about the tag. So did you get into your Jeep at that time?
Yes, because I was sitting on my passenger side, or standing at my passenger side.
And you were on the phone concentrating to what 911 was saying, correct?
Correct, yes.
Did you hear any outside noise of the state officer telling somebody to take a picture of the tag or to get the tag number?
No,
So you were doing what you were told to or requested to by 911.
yes.
Okay. Now, state asked you a specific question, and I think you read the transcripts of you never had your finger on the trigger. But isn't it true that the portion you read said your hand was on the trigger?
That's the way that I interpreted it, which is why I tried to explain about the previous statements.
Is your hand different than your finger?
It's a part of.
Okay, but it's different when you're holding a gun to have a hand versus
Correct.
a finger on a trigger, correct?
Correct.
And do you recall anybody ever coming in there to get fingerprints to check the trigger to see if there were any fingerprints on the trigger?
No, they never checked for fingerprints. They never took my fingerprints. They never even checked the fact that I had the marks or the ripped shirt or anything like that until way after.
And did you request them to take pictures or to check that, or did someone else?
Detective Moore is who actually asked the photographer to come in after it was brought to her attention.
And you mentioned that they were going back and forth, Detective Moore and Detective Haywood, correct?
Correct.
And was it kind of a good cop, bad cop situation?
Have Irish,
In hindsight, yes.
this
Okay.
is the trigger
And
card.
did it appear they were looking for
And you
a
keep
certain
your
answer,
finger
or they were changing the
Out of
words
it
to get that
until
answer?
you wanna.
That's how
Use
I
it.
explained it. That's how I felt.
Okay. And now you stated that, there was no contact. And you stated you thought it was the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Was there any contact with the vehicle prior to the question they asked?
At that point, there was not.
But was there had he grabbed you or done anything to you prior to that?
Prior to what are you referencing?
To the vehicle moving forward and hitting your vehicle. And that's the contact you thought they were talking about, correct?
Correct, yes. So when he had a hold, and then once he grabbed a hold of me, after that is when the vehicles hit, which I didn't figure out until after the fact, of course.
Now, it said you pulled it out and possibly had pointed it sideways, but the gun would have been sideways, you stated pushing off of the car, correct?
Correct.
So is that when he grabbed your wrist?
Yes.
So the gun would have been pointing kind of upward or downward, not at him when he grabbed your wrist, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when he grabbed your wrist, he tried to pull the gun into. It's cross, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I thought in cross you can ask leading questions or ask questions about what they
You
asked.
redirect. At this point, you're not cross-examining, you're redirecting. So I will
All right.
sustain the objection
All right.
as to leading question.
So what was the position of the gun as was asked by the state when it was resting on the boot?
It was in my hand and I was like this. So it was like towards the steering wheel, I guess, is where it would, the natural position would be until it was grabbed. And then once it was grabbed, it
Yeah, I know
was
she's
back and
right.
forth.
But
But inevitably in the end, it ended up to where it was being pulled that way, like away.
And you were asked about hearing your voice on the 911 tape. Did you hear your voice saying stop on the 911 tape?
I couldn't hear any of my, what I consider cries for help on the 911 tape.
Do you recall a Cameron Williams that came and testified that had a video?
Yes,
Okay. And do you recall after the state had taken him back? to
the Danish
arrest him,
police
or
just bought that.
he came back to finish his testimony? You
They
recall hearing the
told
video?
us
I
they
do.
took that problem.
What did they say in the video?
you can hear me saying, stop, stop, over and over again.
And the phone was right there, close to you.
It was.
So obviously it just wasn't loud enough to be on the 911 tape.
I mean, my voice projection didn't change for me yelling from get out of the car to stop. So I don't know how it picked up one and not the other.
And it stated, the state requested that this could have been avoided and asked you that question. Do you recall that?
I do.
How could it have been avoided?
Initially, me not trying to do the right thing. And in the end, I don't know, just trying to stay away from the original scene, put it that way.
Okay, so you said at the beginning, but at the end, it could have been avoided a different way.
I believe if he wasn't trying to take it from me, it would have never went off.
And you would have never pulled it had the situation not escalated.
Correct.
Okay. And you told the detectives, as well as the 911, as well as the people around there, you never had your finger on the trigger?
Correct.
And if anything, your hand was on the trigger guard?
Well, that's where your hands rest, is alongside. Yes.
Thank you. No further questions?
Thank you, Attorney. Anything further from the state?
Very briefly, you talked about the fact that it could have been avoided had you not attempted to, I guess, assist or help. But this actually could have been avoided if you not had introduced a gun into this incident, correct?
I introduced the gun to try and save my life.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
And just briefly, she asked the question to interject yourself.
Objection. What is the objection? He's already directed the witness, Your Honor. He already redirected the witness.
Yeah, but you ask another question. He has the right to redirect again.
If she allows it, I believe.
Yeah, but it should be allowed. But
Yeah, because I don't know how some judges will like let them go forever and some won't.
I'm not clumsy, but I'm gonna say she's sustaining the the objection.
And you're saying I can't come back and redirect again what you've done another question, another question?
I'm going to sustain the objection, Attorney Tucker.
Again,
Yes. Have you concluded with this witness, Attorney
I'm
Tucker?
standing.
Yes, I am. I'm doing the witness.
Okay, you may step down.
I mean, the
Does the
defense,
defense have another witness?
Not that should have, there's some email, Your Honor, no.
So the defense rests at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't check your phone while you're resting.
Does the state intend to use any rebuttal witnesses?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, can counsels please approach?
What rebuttal witnesses will they bring? Oh, they're going to bring the officer who questioned her, or the two detectives who interviewed her. And then they're going to talk about her removing her fingernails.
really? Why is that? It's so stupid.
I just want to say, I might have a touch of the psychic or the autistic. One of those. Those 8 cats will be hearing her questions from across. She's angry she didn't get to go full Karen on her.
So what did everybody think? Were you like for?
You're peeping.
Yeah, somebody is calling my work phone and it's just beeping. It's done it 3 times already. I don't know who it is, but
You can you can answer the phone. Then it stops beeping.
Oh, no, it answers automatically. That's the beauty of this work phone.
Hey, KLI. And one thing all female jurors would be thinking, I would never do that. She did. Probably.
But do the charges fit the crime? That's what really is at play here. I mean, obviously we know that juries aren't going to see it that way. It's going to be emotional versus the law. But what she's being charged with, that's what you have to look at.
Yeah, I still think that premeditated, the malice charge is stupid. But reckless or something like that, I could totally see. She did great. I have to say, especially because the state's cross was weak. It was very weak. The only thing I didn't like in it was her little
Approach again for just a minute, please.
a little jab about the 911 tapes having a gap in it. That's the only thing I didn't like in her talking to the state. Other than that, I think the state was weak.
That was really weak, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cross was not good. And then when she actually told the story, I believed her more than any of the witnesses that claimed they witnessed it.
Yeah. But I still think she's gonna have a long, long time to think about it.
I mean,
yeah, but there's a difference, Sean. If you're the state's witness, you can get all the sash you want. This is a woman fighting for her life.
I know.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I am going to release you at this time for the evening and ask that you return tomorrow at, well, hopefully you'll get here by 8:30 so that we can promptly start at 9 o'clock. You are released for the evening with the instructions that I previously gave. They still apply. No discussion, no social media searches. all the instructions that
Absolutely.
I've
Don't
given.
go and like and subscribe to The
Hopefully
Broken
you'll
Baker
have a
or
good evening, and
Dave
we'll see
at
you back here
MLS Law Show.
tomorrow at 8:30. Thank you
What's
so
his name
much.
now? Make it more simple.
Yeah. I know the witness
I'm a simpleton making law. It's something. He changes it all the time.
making law simple.
Oh, talking about the devil. Hey, Dave. I didn't call you a simple making law. Cross went absolutely great because
It
she
sucks.
was well prepared. She had one little snap that didn't look good, but it was a weak cross. It was very weak.
They pretty
And
much had her reading her statements, to the cops or whatever, and then the dispatcher, 911 dispatcher, and her, like, that's pretty much all they had her do.
Yeah, then we watched the body cam where we couldn't hear more than like 50% of it. Well, you've been here with us.
So just to place on the record what was discussed at the bench, we're going to conduct the charge conference or pre-charge conference at this time. The state will call its rebuttal witness tomorrow at 9 o'clock. But at this time, we can go ahead and look at the charges and determine what will be read to the jurors tomorrow. Attorney Tucker, were you able to receive a copy?
Yes, ma'am. I believe the clerk came out and made a copy for everyone of mine.
Okay.
I'm not sure if she gave it to me.
I really don't like this judge.
What was discussed in her email is kind of similar to what I wrote all over the paperwork, and I agree on some of them. I think on the majority of the issues brought up, I agree with. And mine are just notes on.
No, he said
charges
something
itself,
about.
Because there are duplicate charges,
I
there's gaps, there's.
didn't
some
know
other
what
stuff,
with
so
the subpoenas,
I think
but
if we go through
they're
and
not
make sure
calling
that
anyone else.
every charge is correct the way it's said, and some of ours are the same. I think we can go to the order of what it needs to be, and that should satisfy. That I don't think there's something that I'm gonna.
Sounds like
really
a teacher,
object to because
one of those teachers who
Okay.
smells a
All
little
right,
too much
so,
of coffee.
I'm going to step off the bench for just a minute. Let me just see if the staff attorney is here so that we can go ahead and try to handle this portion of it. For those of you that are sitting in the courtroom, pretty much we're recessed in terms of evidence. We're just doing charges, what the jury will be charged with. So you're free to remain here or you're free.
No, you're not
to
doing what the jury will be charged with.
This is just something that the
Which
court has
charges
to
will be read to the
handle
jury, right?
with counsels at this time. So I'm going to step off for just a
Oh.
couple minutes.
Thank you so much, Wendy Yates. 10 gifted memberships. Let's see who were the lucky ones. Half Irish. Lolita Smiles. Shenigram. The Expert. Before I Go. White Paint. Dog Mama. Lupoy 20. And Caitlin. Melissa Jane. Thank you so much, Wendy Yates, for the 10 gifted memberships. On behalf of all the 10 who, and we saw some new names in there. That's always nice to see when the distribution thing hits some new names. But Wendy is going on the Wall of Fame. Thank you so much, Wendy. So,
Thank you, Wendy. You're so sweet.
yeah, I'm gonna love the day when someone is gifting it. It says Jamie.
What
No,
did you
you're not going on the Wall of Shame. It's only for Farrell.
And then I'll be back to review the charges. State, was the state able to send any revisions to the staff attorney?
Yes, I've sent my revisions to.
I don't
staff
think he'll
attorney
run.
In defense, I don't have any of
They were
their
smiling
suggestions
afterward.
or their requests at revision.
Nothing from defense attorney?
I have this original request to charge that we both did in October of 2022.
That wall is called
I
the
don't have
Carol
anything,
wall.
if there's something more important, I have what he emailed, his comments and suggestions and things along those lines, I don't have.
You do not have
I do
it.
not.
And I believe the staff
Brendan
attorney came up
already
this morning,
prepared the
taking
first
my
one
copy
to,
and made copies
most of the
for all
second one.
parties. That was my understanding, and she came back later on and gave me my copy back.
Right, but did you email anything to chief assistant or to ADA?
I emailed and explained that I'd made my corrections on these documents, but it was
Well,
similar
yeah.
to her
I've got
comments,
photos of it.
documents, and that I would have this present and available. And that's what I was
Oh, she's
understanding
up
the
to
staff
hospital
attorney did, was
now.
make copies for all parties.
Okay.
But there's
All right.
similar comments and similar statements that I think we sit there and just go through it, we can knock it out, there's not gonna be much objections.
Okay, all right, give me a second, I'll be right back.
I don't see her running anywhere because it seems like she's happy. They were smiling when they were done, but I just don't. Yeah. Peter A., thank you so much for hanging out here all day and have a great evening and enjoy your dinner. Jamie and I will be discussing if we're going to stay for jury instructions because we're going to hear them tomorrow and normally they are not that interesting.
Yeah.
Orale. I speak Spanish. No, Jamie, shouldn't we just wrap it up now? They're just going to argue the jury instructions. And we hate jury instructions.
I do.
Yeah.
Unless, well, she's already got a stupid face, so yeah.
Well, Peter, Jamie, who is the boss of me and Dave, has said we can have an early night because it's only 11:30 where I live. And thank you all for stopping by. If you could just hit the thumbs up on the way out, it will be mostly appreciated because that will show my boss, Jamie, that she shouldn't beat me again tonight. Well, I'm going to find you someone to redirect you to so you can build Wendy H's library because Wendy H got a great library over at Fluxus yesterday because she is a sweetheart. But I'm just sitting here and finding you somewhere else to go. You don't have to go to bed. I do. But you have to go away because Jamie is yelling at me.
No, I was just sorry, I was reading chats because I was just everybody's got their different views and I like reading everything.
Yeah, and it's fine. I really love that. Again, we have a civil disagreement. There should be room for that.
Well, yeah, and like after hearing her side of the story, it's made me feel more that she shouldn't be charged with what she's charged with. If what she is saying is true, and to me, it felt believable.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else
Yeah,
felt
me
it.
too.
To me, it felt believable.
Well, I'm sending you over to the goat herder himself. Please tell him Bakerwood or bust. Let's do that one today because I made a new stupid thing. I shouldn't use AI. So who's still? Yeah, I think Val is still streaming, but say hello to the fake Seaman Valhalla, and Jamie and I will welcome you back if you want to come join us again tomorrow at roughly 9 a.m. Right, Jamie?
Yep.
Have a great evening, all.
Bye, everybody.